Hello Marvel Legends and pro wrestling fans. Yes, it's time to diversify. It's time to broaden my portfolio, if you will. It's time to cover pro wrestling because Marvel Comics might be my one love on this side, but equal, if not slightly more, is pro wrestling. And more to the point, right this minute, AEW, who are killing the game. So I'm going to start doing reviews of AEW Dynamite, maybe some other wrestling shows too. We'll see how this thing goes. Maybe I'll just get responses saying, I only want to watch Marvel Legends, I hate pro wrestling, take it off my channel. In which case, I'll take it under consideration. But today I'm watching AEW Dynamite, and let's take a look at the ups and downs of what happened. So we opened up with the Young Bucks versus Top Flight, and this definitely gets a double thumbs up from me right here, because Top Flight are a brand new team. I've never seen them before, and they impressed right out the gate. I'm normally a little bit dubious of the sort of the super skinny kick pad, like Johnny Kick Pad. That was such a kind of a cliche of the early 2000s. That was like a sticker that people put on anyone who was like small and flippy. But nowadays, you know, people actually incorporate so much great work into the kicks and flips and whatnot that I would immediately judge just a couple of smaller guys. I mean, let's face it, AEW, as they've said themselves, is a light heavyweight promotion, and that works. So Top Flight, as soon as they came out, I was like, these guys look alright. The older brother, I think, looks like he has more star potential than the younger brother, who looks a little bit more bland. But like literally, this is just initial first impressions, and the first impressions are good. They look like a team. They're wearing decent gear. They look the business. And of course the Young Bucks come out and they've just got their act down pat now. So in the ring, their money every time. And this match was a lot of fun. It was quick, it was what it needed to be. It got the new guys over, but at no point did you feel too much like the Young Bucks were in a lot of danger. And they shouldn't be. You know, this is an opportunity for a new team to show what they can do, but it's not about the Young Bucks majorly putting these guys over. That's what I love about AEW is you get characters who you know are going to be big. Eventually you're telling that story, like we've seen with Darby Allin. The same is going to be the case with Top Flight. They came out, made a great showing for themselves. I think everything looked crisp, it looked clean. Now, first of all, this is a spot monkey match. It is a match for the monkeys of the spots. But for what it was great. And I'm fine with the spot monkey match. You know, you can have great old school, you know, call it in the ring type matches, which I love seeing, more of that Japanese strong style. But for a TV match opening the weekly show, I thought this was excellent. And yeah, Young Bucks put these guys over strong, gave them the shine, and then they did what they needed to do. Having Hybrid 2 come in and attack the Top Flight at the end, I don't really care about the Hybrid 2. I'm sorry. I want to like them, but I have no reason to really be interested in them. They haven't really had much promo time. They look more indie kick paddy than the young indie guys do. So instantly I actually prefer Top Flight to those guys. But on the whole still, I give this opening segment 2 thumbs up. Next up we have what a lot of people would probably say was the main draw for this show, which was the Inner Circle slays Las Vegas. And oh, this reminds me why I love AEW so much. This was brilliant. This was fantastic. This was comedy gold. Like actual funny comedy in wrestling used to be so rare when all we had was garbage WWE and awful TNA. By their very name, it's like that's their level of comedy. AEW gets comedy. They have creative people and performers and wrestlers who are actually genuinely funny people, and they are allowed to just do what they think is funny. It doesn't always work, but when it does, oh, it works so well, and this was fantastic. I don't want to give anything away, alright? But it's basically, as I'm sure you would imagine, it's the Inner Circle does The Hangover, and it's sublime, and you know, it's everything that the Elite Deletion wasn't. It's concise, it's short, well-timed, there's no filler, no garbage. Every scene has something funny. It has a setup and a punchline, and that's what you want. It was almost like watching a sketch comedy show just, you know, in one setting, and it was great. Every character, every wrestler got their character over. Everyone benefited from this. And I've only seen the first segment so far. I'm doing this as I go, but the Wardlow Jack Swagger interactions, little characters popping up, chef's kiss. Mwah. Next up, John Moxie cut a promo on Kenny Omega, and it was a sort of a decent meat and potatoes kind of promo, which John Moxley is very, very good at. I've never seen him cut a particularly bad promo unless he was given very bad material. And you know that in AEW, they pretty much do what they want to do. They say what they want to say, which is why it's so much better than anything we've had in such a long time. And Moxley was great. You know, told a very sort of personal sounding story, which makes you think about, you know, the man as opposed to the character, which just helps you relate to it so much more. And I'm really getting, you know, psyched up for this upcoming match. Like, as if I wasn't psyched up enough for Moxley versus Omega. They're doing a great job of cultivating this and really getting everyone on board. Next up, we have Orange Cassidy versus Kip Saberian. The fact that I had to pause there for a second goes to show that I'm not quite on board with Kip Saberian and Miro and their threesome entourage, because I like all three of those guys. Penelope Ford, right? I think they're all excellent performers. They've got a lot going for them. The problem is I feel like they're more sports entertainment than sports, and like I like my sports entertainment, but there's sort of limits and ways of doing it. Like Miro should be a beast, he should be a monster, and he kind of is, but he's also someone who gets upset because you broke his arcade cabinet. That's a little bit too mid-90s sort of silliness, you know? I think that they're close, they're evolving, and that's another thing that's fun to see. You don't just see in AEW, you know, the story of the young wrestlers kind of growing into great performers. You also just see people genuinely sort of workshopping their characters on screen. It's like open mic night for wrestling. It evolves as it goes, and I love that. You know, WWE is sort of obsessed with like, what you see on screen must be the perfect vision of our product. It must be what we ideally want to show you, which unfortunately is often bad. Whereas AEW is like, nah, maybe this isn't quite, you know, it hasn't evolved fully yet, but let's put it out there and see how it goes, and we'll work it and do it, and that's what's so great. So I think Kip Saberian, Penelope Ford, and Miro, this threesome entourage, is going to come together and actually build something really good in time. It's not there yet, but it's getting there, and who better to be in the ring with than someone as over and sort of popular with the crowd and dynamic to watch as Orange Cassidy. So this match with Orange Cassidy and Kip Saberian was a pretty basic sort of TV match that you would expect from these two, which is solid, you know, it's good stuff. What I didn't like, and I don't know if it was shoot or kayfabe or what, but it looked like Kip Saberian took a bump on the head and was very out of it for a little while, and we've had a lot of this in AEW recently, and I love AEW, and this is such a difficult thing to kind of level because it's wrestling. You're gonna get bumped. It happens, and also you're also working. So was it legit? He looked like it looked like if it wasn't legit, it was designed to look like it was. It looked like Cassidy was stalling for a bit. He took his elbow pad off. He paused. He put it back on again. Kip rolled to the outside, and then the really scary bit was when Kip went for a springboard back into the ring. He slips and flubs, and it's like, oh, that didn't look like a sort of a wrestling story move. That looked like someone who didn't have his feet under him type botch, and that was a bit scary. And actually I noticed when Kip Saberian took the DDT, which it looks like, you know, caused him to brain himself, when Orange was getting up off of him, he kind of patted him on the chest as if to say like, sorry, are you okay? So that makes me think that that was a genuinely scary moment. If it wasn't, then I won't say congratulations for being good workers, because that's not the kind of selling that we want to see. We don't want to think that you're genuinely hurt. We want to get caught up in the story that you're telling in a wrestling match, not be worried for your actual health as a human being. So that took me out of it a little bit, but still, the match was decent. Kip Saberian got his feet back under him and he seemed to be fine to finish the match, but either way I was like, ugh, I'm not sure how I felt about that. Then we have the contract signing, or not, as it appeared to be. So Kenny came out, and I'm a huge Kenny Omega mark. I always have been, since, you know, back in the day when we used to hang out in Japan. No big deal, I never even really mention it. But yeah, I love that he's going back to this kind of cleaner persona, and that, you know, AEW have recognized that this has not been the Kenny Omega that people were hoping for when AEW first started. We've had some great matches, like, no doubt, but it's not the New Japan strong style, cleaner character that we really wanted. And now that they're kind of bringing that back and doing new things with the cheerleaders and, excuse me, The cheerleaders, I think, just they have that wonderful Running Man vibe. The fact that they've got the very 80s looking spandex and it's kind of very cheesy. I like it, but also it looks a little bit low rent as well with the broomsticks. That's the problem. Sometimes I'll be the first to say, AEW doesn't always nail it. I love that they're giving him this huge, ego type persona. I love his tongue-in-cheek introductions, this time saying that he's done everything that Jon Moxley has basically, but then more so. That's all really good fun. And when Kenny came out, he looked like $1,000,000 with his shades and his suit, like really great stuff. And then we get the angle. Jon Moxley has been laid out in the back, which, to be honest, I'm kind of tired of as an angle. Like, how many times have we seen this angle in wrestling? Oh, someone's supposed to come out, they're not here. Let's go to the back. Oh, they've been attacked. It's kind of tired by now, all right? And of course, the question is though, who did it? So it's good to have a little bit of intrigue. And you're guessing maybe the Young Bucks? Are we getting like the old school elite back together? Who knows? If it is, then it's kind of mixed storytelling as well, because Young Bucks were like baby faces, then they kind of went heel-ish, and then they went back to baby faces again, and it's like, pick a lane. Again, AEW, I love you, but pick a lane, okay? But still, it's interesting to see where we're gonna go, from here. And which what I don't want to happen is for, this match on the second to be compromised and for them to like sort of hold something back. Because a lot of that has been happening recently where people have been saying, oh, this match was good, but it looks like they were holding something back for a future match. No. Let's just have both guys at the top of their game and see what happens, what they can do, because this match needs to be big. This could be like the biggest episode of Dynamite they've ever done. And it should be by all rights. So don't handicap yourselves by saying, oh, Moxie's coming in with an injury, so it won't be quite up to the level it should be. No! Give us both guys at 100%. That's what I want to see, and if an angle and intrigue comes out of it, then great. So now we have part 2 of the Inner Circle in Las Vegas. And again, I don't want to give away too much of this because I thought it was, once again, as I said before, fantastic. These guys, it's not even that clever, because I'm not going to be the first to, well, I am going to be the first to say, who's the first to say? What am I saying? It's just a rip-off of The Hangover, all right? So it's not the most original idea, but doing it in wrestling with pro wrestlers, oh, that's all you need to do. It's what's old is new again. By the time we got Hangover 3, that formula was done. But Hangover with Chris Jericho and an Elvis impersonator, yeah, sign me up. Plus the fact that we're getting more cameos. I don't want to give things away, but like, they do the baby, but it's something else. It's a good time. So yeah, once again, Inner Circle in Vegas. Wonderful. I can't wait to see what's in the next segment. Alright, now we move on to a match that I was really looking forward to, which was the Bastard Pack against The Blade. And Butcher and The Blade are two guys who are, I think they qualify as boys in my boy stable, because I really want to like them, and I do like them, but they're not that great, I don't think. The Butcher in particular, I love his look. He's such a 70s throwback kind of guy. But when I saw him in a singles match against Moxley, I was like, oh, okay, you are kind of limited. Blade, I think, has a lot more upside as far as in-ring work goes, but still, there are a few rickets here and there in the match. But on the whole, the match was really, really good. It was, nothing that's going to be mentioned in Match of the Year, talks later in the year. But they put on a really solid match. And of course, it was all about the angle at the end as well. First of all, before I get ahead of myself, so good to see Pac back. The dude still looks $1,000,000. Like he's chiseled out of granite. I hate him for that. But what a great performer. Such a pro in the ring. You could tell he was leading the match and just so good at everything he does. Looks amazing. And the finish, his shooting star press into the rings of Saturn. Gorgeous. And of course, it's all about the angle at the end. So of course, Kingston comes into the ring. They have a face-off. I love the intensity of Eddie Kingston. I mean, I'm not saying anything that no one said before. The guy is incredible on the mic, and his believability. It's funny, he's kind of the anti-Pac, whereas Pac is chiseled out of granite and the most incredible wrestler in the world. But, he doesn't have that same sort of, on the mic intensity, which is not a knock on Pac, because he's very good on the mic. He really has developed that Game of Thrones bastard persona. He really works it well. But Eddie Kingston is just in another stratosphere as far as, cutting promos is concerned. And that's not just against Pac, that's against pretty much anyone. But of course, physically, Kingston's got a bit of a derby on him. He doesn't look like much. But the two of them together facing off, so great. And then of course, Pac gets attacked. You get Ray Phoenix come out to make the save in a bit of a clumsy save. And then we get the main sort of part where Penta El Zero comes out and he's got the chair, and it's the Russo special. You know, which way is he gonna swing? And ultimately, he doesn't swing either way. It looks like he's, you know, he runs off Kingston and Butcher and the Blade, but the fact is, has he aligned with the Death Triangle again? Because he didn't actually hit anyone, and I kept waiting for the Russo swerve for him to nail Puck with the chair, but it hasn't happened. Thank you. But I think we haven't seen the end of this story. I'm still waiting for that Russo swerve. Until you know, Penta actually throws hands against Eddie Kingston, I'm gonna wait and see. But right now, the point is, I'm interested, and that's what it's all about. It's keeping your interest. These guys have succeeded in that. Now we cut backstage, and it's Jade attacking Brandy Rhodes, and first of all, Jade is a goddess. I mean, oh my goodness, just wow. Okay, but that being said, she's got good and bad points as far as like her presence and her kind of charisma is concerned, or lack thereof. Maybe it's tough. When she debuted last week, she was definitely talking too long, and that wasn't entirely her fault. Maybe she was given too long, or maybe she just didn't get to the point in time. But either way, it felt awkward. But at the same time, she seemed confident. So she was confident in that awkwardness. It was weird. She's not the finished package yet as far as that sort of presence is concerned, but she's getting there. And she, you know, Pillmanized Brandy's arm in a chair, which they overdo Pillmanizing things. It's like the words lost all meaning. Pillmanize. It's like no, that should put someone out for a long time. It shouldn't just be a, oh, you dick, that was a mean thing to do. But either way, it was good to see Jade, and I guess they're continuing this Shaq angle. Let's see where it goes. So now we've got Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa, and I'm not a huge fan of women's wrestling. It's just, I just never really get into it. But that's not to say that these two didn't put on a really, really good match. Both women are absolutely in phenomenal shape, like ring condition. They look like alpha level athletes, and they both look like $1 million, particularly Thunder Rosa with her face paint. The gimmick looks awesome, and they did really well for themselves. It was an excellent show. Problem was there was an interference from Britt Baker and Reba. They attack Thunder Rosa, but it doesn't lead to the finish, and then Thunder Rosa lost a bit later, and it's like, why do the attack if it's not going to like lead into a finish and make more sense? So it seemed like a little bit of a throwaway kind of thing to do. I mean, it leads on to another program, but why not actually have that play into the finish? It seemed a little bit odd, but at the same time, both women look phenomenal, and I gotta say, it's the most I've enjoyed a women's match since probably like Asuka's heyday. So more credit to them. If you can like bring me into like being interested in a women's division, then I'm all for it. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa then have a pull apart after the match, and this was more sort of intense than I was kind of expecting. I think Thunder Rosa is excellent. She brings that intensity to everything she does. So I'm genuinely interested to see where this goes now. Now we have what I think will be a highlight of the show to some. It's a Dark Order segment. More to the point, it's a John Silver segment. He's there with Anna Jay, and he's John Silver, which is just so entertaining. Just him being him, and you can see Anna Jay like trying to keep a straight face, which is just wonderful. I love how self-aware the Dark Order is, and they've just taken what was an awful gimmick and made it so wonderful. And John Silver, I could watch him read the phone book. And more to the point, they announced that next week it's going to be Anna Jay against Hikaru Shida, and that's a match, again, after just saying that I'm not really into women's wrestling, that they're 2 for 2 now, actually. I enjoyed the Thunder Rosa Serena Deeb match, and now I really want to see number 99 against Shida. So well done, AEW. You're kind of killing it with this. And it is now time for the final segment of the show. It's our tag team main event. We got Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin against Team Taz, Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. I'm a big Team Taz mark. I've been a big Taz fan like since the late 90s. Even when he was being buried in WWE, I always loved Taz. And I think the threesome, that sounds weird to say, but the group of Team Taz I think works so well. Ricky Starks just oozes charisma. Brian Cage looks like what I want a pro wrestler to look like. Sorry, but I don't care how you get there. I just think it looks good. Just saying, you know. I've got no problem with the smaller, lighter guys. That's fine. But sometimes you just want to see a big hoss in the ring who looks like he just came out of a comic book, and that's what Brian Cage is, especially when he does his Weapon X entrance, which was kind of cool. Anyway, this match was fine, you know. It wasn't crazy amazing, but it was a decent match. What was more important, first of all, was the fact that the villains went over clean. That's great. I mean, there was a little bit of shenanigans here and there, but on the whole, the Team Taz got a clean win over Cody and Darby Allin, and that means something. But more to the point, we had the angle at the end. So, you know, the Team Taz attack the Blue Eyes, and who comes out? Will Hobbs. And I got my Russo swerve! I knew it was going to happen at some point. It wasn't earlier on, but it was tonight. Will Hobbs comes out, runs off Team Taz, picks up the FTW title, and wham! Takes out Cody Rhodes, and that's what I wanted to see. Will Hobbs, I like him, and also I like the fact that he's a big, hefty, burly kind of guy, and he doesn't have that sort of, you know, chisel out of granite type physique. He's more of just, he looks like a American football player, which I'm guessing maybe he was. But yeah, he's just looks like a bit of a beast, and that looks pretty cool. I could imagine him throwing Darby Allin around and having a lot of fun in a match like that. So now Team Taz has its 4th member, and they're a good dominant looking bunch. So double thumbs up to that outcome there. Kind of saw it coming, but sometimes when you see something coming, it's because it makes the most sense, and that's what we like to see. Guys, that was my AEW Dynamite recap. Will it be the first of many? Will it be one and done? I don't know. That's up to you. Let me know if you enjoyed watching this. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, comment below in particular. Let me know what you think of, you know, incorporating more wrestling content into this site. I like to diversify and keep things interesting. But at the same time, you know, I've made my bread and butter Marvel Legends, and they always will be. I don't want to dilute that too much, because a wise saying goes, a man with 2 watches never knows what time it is. So don't let this kind of compromise one for the other, you know. In the meantime though, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, keep displaying model behavior.